most entrepreneurs that we work with, especially those that are looking to really build, grow, and scale their business, they really start goal planning in the month of November going into the upcoming year itself. Those are the ones that I see at the table that constantly are at the top of the table of our advisors that we work with, but also those are the ones that seem to have the most fulfilling life as well.
So, talk to me about strategies to actually achieve the goals. You can set them, that's great, but how do you meet them?
Number one thing, and I used to be someone who would not do this, but I can tell you how important it is. Physically take that pen and write down what your goal is.
And do you find, or have you found among your teams, that if the leader starts to do this, the others start to do this?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely see that, or those people are no longer with them.
True.
So I want to say from the 14 advisors that are constantly doing our advisor mentorship program mastermind calls, some of the things that our office has seen. So there's 8 blind spots that are out there going into 2026. And just 1 out of the 8 was the harnessing technology. So on the email that I send over to them with their execution guide, I have 5 must reads for 2026 if they are wanting to actually grow, because I deal with a lot of the advisors that are looking for just hyper growth. I mean, they're focused on doing big things over the next 2 to 3 years. So the first book is
Systems work, people fail. Welcome to InsureMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
There will be no lollygagging or dilly-dallying in this episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. So let's cut right to the chase. Have you set your goals for 2026? Jeremy Hauser, I can imagine some listeners now shrugging their shoulders and mumbling, why? What do you say to them?
I say good morning, and why not? That's what I say. So I definitely, it is goal season as we are looking into 2026. One of those things every single year, it's just a creature of habit. If you start to do it each and every year of just setting out your goals for the upcoming year, you got your New Year's resolutions, however you get there. Most entrepreneurs that we work with, especially those that are looking to really build, grow, and scale their business, they really start goal planning in the month of November going into the upcoming year itself. So the people that are kind of hesitant on doing so, I can tell you firsthand, just working with many, many entrepreneurs over the last decade plus, that the ones that are serious about wanting to commit to their growth and putting together some processes in order to achieve those are the ones that I see at the table that constantly are at the top of the table of our advisors that we work with, but also those are the ones that seem to have the most fulfilling life as well, where they're able to actually buy back some time on their calendars, hang out with their family more. They're not working, 75-hour weeks constantly. And so I think goals is a big thing for those individuals that are looking to grow themselves.
Well, there goes my first question. How important are goals? Keep going, though.
So importance is very important. So, I mean, literally, if I just go and take myself back to November, so we knocked out all my AMP advisor mentorship program, these advisors that are affiliated within our group. So they all sat down. We did a business planning call going into 2026. Yes, we talk about numbers. So numbers for next year, because at the end of the day, you can't just wing it. I know it seems like you can as you get better and better each and every year, but really having that accountability partner and having a structure put towards your business planning with numbers is one of the, I would say, most important things in order to hit your numbers for next year. And actually, I'm going to dive into that for a second. So the numbers part of it, if an advisor, let's say this year, and just in our world, this might mean nothing to you, Patrice, but so let's say an advisor wants to bring on $1 million of assets for annuities a month. So let's just say $12 million a year is their goal for 2026. And so what we started to do, which numbers are great, we started to do this roughly 4 to 5 years ago. Some of our advisors, the numbers are one thing. So yes, you can divide that into the month or into the weeks for the year. So 52 weeks. But we wanted to really get more into the weeds of, running a business for that advisor that's looking to do $12 million next year. So instead of just doing 52 weeks for the year, let's subtract 2 weeks out of that, chalk that up for holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So let's just say out of 50 weeks in a year. So from that number, how many weeks for 2026 do you see yourself in the office and working? So some advisors' goals, our number one advisor, actually for the last 9 years, his goal is every single year he takes off 1 week a month.
Hmm.
So basically he's doing his amount of 50 something million dollars of annuities, and he's able to actually do that with just 3/4 of the capacity of what most advisors are doing. So he's literally taken off 1 week every single month for the whole calendar year. So advisors hear that from stage. And so that becomes their goal of, how do I get back and buy back some time where I'm still able to hit that $12 million number? But let's just run the math. Let's say I want to take off, in that example, 12 weeks on top of the holidays. So that would be 38 weeks that advisors looking to basically work for 2026 to hit that goal. So if that's the case, you got to know, based off numbers, how much you need to submit a business, how much needs to be paid each and every week, and put the systems and processes from there in place to make sure you can achieve that top line goal. One book that actually really changed, I would say changed the game for a lot of advisors, is a book. It was called 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. And this is a great way if advisors are looking to put goals in place for next year. 12-Week Year is a great book to look at, because what advisors are starting to utilize is over a quarter. So instead of waiting to the very end of the year, see what you've done, they're really getting into the grains of every single week. Let's see how production is moving forward, have the right people keeping up with the right systems and processes. But every 12 weeks, we're checking in to see where we are, tracking and forecasting our goals for the year itself. So a lot goes into it, not just a business planning call and tossing out some numbers, but our team has proven numerous years now that we actually have systems to put in place to help advisors hit their goal. And then most importantly, buy back their time to have an opportunity to hang out with their family and do what they want to do outside of just being in the office all day.
It's like a budget. And I should think you'd probably get a good sense of accomplishment when you start seeing, wow, I did meet this goal in the first couple of weeks, and that gives you the impetus to keep on going.
Yeah, and so the budget is, that's definitely one thing, because also now let's peel back the onion a little bit. So once you know how much business you're looking to generate, you know what the revenue that comes in. Now you can forecast expenses throughout the year. So if you want to do that client appreciation event, if you want to put on seminars, if you want to start utilizing podcasting and other media avenues where you're throwing cash and expenses into the equation, you can't do all that unless you truly have a goal and a top line revenue number that the business is bringing in, to make sure that it makes sense to make a business decision to actually pick up some additional expenses itself. Very true. At Ibexus, they believe focus is power. That's why Ibexus has built a smarter, faster approach to annuities grounded in product, process, and partnerships. And 2026 is shaping up to be Ibexus' most exciting year yet, as they are rolling out enhancements to their fixed index annuities to keep you and your clients ahead of the curve. They are consistently refining their processing guidelines so your business moves through faster, easier, and hassle-free. And they are elevating education with new small group masterminds designed to sharpen your skills and fuel your growth. As we close out 2025, Ibexus is grateful for the incredible IMO partners and advisors, and are energized for what's ahead in 2026. There's no limit to what their team and amazing partners like you can achieve together.
So, talk to me about strategies to actually achieve the goals. You can set them, that's great, but how do you meet them? How do you make sure you have that drive to meet them?
Number one thing, and I used to be someone who would not do this, but I can tell you how important it is. You have to write it down.
Mhm.
Physically take that pen and write down what your goal is for the year. So for instance, I know last year my goal was, or for this year, I guess 2025, my goal was to run 1,000 miles. So it may seem silly, but I just wrote it on a little sticky. Just 1,000 miles is what I'm looking to run, and then we'll figure out how to get there. But those advisors as well too. So yes, if your goal is to do $12 million for the upcoming year of annuity business, if you want to bring on an additional $12 million of assets under management, write these goals out. At least that's a starting point. If you want to take off 1 week a month, if you want to take off 1 week a quarter as you start to build up your business, write that stuff down. It's important because then it's basically a vision board and you're staring at it each and every day. Hopefully you locate that in your office. So it just keeps it front of mind for you. And then also it just becomes a habit. So a particular book I just read, it talks about law of habit. So
Hmm.
once you start putting together some of your processes to achieve those goals themselves, and once you get into the habit of every single day, starting to just chip away at what you're currently doing with the vision in mind of where you're trying to go, it's very important. Then all of a sudden you start to habit stack. So maybe waking up earlier. So you are waking up, let's say, for instance, you wake up at 6 a.m. right now, going into 2025, or 7 a.m., whatever that number or that time frame may be. A lot of my advisors start to just wake up an hour earlier, just to do it, just to start waking up an hour earlier. At least that is the first step. From there, continue your routine as if you were just waking up at your normal time. It's not easy. It takes at least 2 to 3 weeks to get adjusted to that. But then that's the importance of habit stacking. So now that you're waking up a little earlier, maybe that morning walk that you were doing, now you're doing it a little earlier. Maybe you're meditating, maybe you're running, maybe you're just doing a workout or reading, whatever it may be. But now you just got an extra hour in your day to where during those crunch hours, when you're actually now on the phone with prospects, or if you're marketing or you're doing business calls with your team, if you're helping with delegations and running your business, you're just more refreshed. It's almost to where you got a different energy to you for others around you, and they just feel it and they sense it. And that helps out with trying to achieve what your goal is, which is you're bringing the energy to your people with either clients, prospects, or even teammates. And all it started with was just waking up earlier. It's just stacking habits on top of little things like that.
And do you find, or have you found among your teams, that if the leader starts to do this, the others start to do this, the followers?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely see that, or those people are no longer with them.
True.
So,
True, yes.
but I mean, it goes back to, yes. So high standards. So just having advisors that are, and obviously that's who we talk to. And this doesn't just have to be advisors. This is any entrepreneur itself. So once you start creating that standard of yourself and you're starting to really become who you're trying to become, when you're really putting forth the effort of raising your bar, what I would say, raising the floor, when you're raising the floor of your daily activities and what you're doing, everybody else around you, for the most part, they start to notice. So they'll start to notice that, you're moving a little differently, or there's things that are happening right now with you that either it's attractive to where they're like, okay, I like where this guy's going. Or there could be the opposite effect where people are like, well, no, stay here. You don't need to start doing all these different things.
Hmm.
And that's a huge red flag. So that also is something that advisors and others across the country, entrepreneurs, they start to get what I would call like I guess it's a sniff test. So it's almost as they're raising their bar, they're raising their floor. If certain people are just not moving forward at the same rate, you give them some rope, hopefully get them to come along with you. But you got to identify that to where if people are just kind of complacent in what they're doing, you got to make sure that they're in the right spot for where you're trying to go. And if not, unfortunately, those individuals, they might be in a better spot somewhere else, because you want to make sure as you're raising your floor, raising your standards, that those around you that are constantly feeding you energy throughout the day are thinking the same way you are, as opposed to negatively impacting your daily routines.
So true. So true. What about visualization? You've mentioned this in other podcasts.
Well, writing down goals, visualizing, I would say one of the things for advisors, especially just keeping it in front of them, is little sticky notes, keeping visualization of what they're trying to do for their goals. We talked about it with for instance, that example with the annuity premium. but also just visualizing it. It's almost where I talked about this, I think on the previous podcast last year. So what I had was in going into 2025, which I'm doing this year as well too. So basically, as we look into 2026, you can write down the number 2028. So if you write down the number 2028 and you ask yourself, and I'll ask Patrice, what do you see you're doing? Or what do you see yourself doing in 2028?
Talking to you.
Okay, well, of course you'll be talking to me. But what else will we be doing? What is something on Patrice's vision board of what is she doing in 2028?
Jeremy, my vision board for 2028 still has to get built. Seriously, it does.
So that's good. So that's basically it's good we're having this conversation, because then at that point, so what some advisors may say is, I know like last year specifically, I had some people going into 2025 and I had them write out 2027, obviously 2 years ahead of last year. And I asked them, what's on that board? And they're like, oh, I see myself, I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then all of a sudden, the question becomes, okay, so why not now? And it kind of just pauses the conversation. So why not now? So why not start doing podcasts today? And then all of a sudden it's, well, this is, hold on. Well, it's expensive. And so once you start to visualize where you want to go and you start acting to, no, you're going to start doing your podcasts. And here's what you're going to start doing. And even if you don't start, let's say in the next 30 to 60 days, you have visually, mentally put yourself in the mindset to where, no, I am going to be doing that. And I am going to be doing this particular show. What all does it take to do it? Do you have to send out questions? So once you start moving in a way that's your future self, your body just, as you start to stack and constantly stack your habits daily in order to get yourself into the right mindset, you become that person of who you're going to be in 2027, 2028, and not have to delay 2 years from now. So visualization is very important. And most importantly, once you have the vision that's out there, especially 2 years on, so let's say in 2028 from today, whatever's on that vision of what you want to be doing at that point in your life, and you start acting as if that is the present today, you'd be amazed with what the results and how fast you'll start to achieve the goals that are visualized.
And success breeds success.
Correct. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. It's and people want to be around people that are moving forward, not staying still. They want to be around people that are trying to get the most out of life, but also they want to be around just good energy. It's really what it comes down to, good energy.
All right. You mentioned the business calls, wrapping up 2025, moving into 2026. Is there anything that stood out in those calls?
Sure. There's several. There's actually one that I would say it comes off the top of my head right now would be that advisors that are in similar size to one another, they seem to have the same wants and needs as others. And what I mean by that is, let's say an advisor who might be bringing in annuities, bringing in assets under management, let's say top line revenue, they're basically bringing in $1 million of revenue to the company. It seems like those particular individuals themselves, I may have somebody who could be in Massachusetts, but then their needs and what they're looking to build on in 2026 are very similar to the same person who's maybe in Arizona or even in Chicago. And it fascinates me to where each one of those, and that goes back to systems and processes. So with people that are doing the same systems and process, you can really dive into the nuts and bolts of, what helped that $1 million revenue shop grow to 2 million? How did they double their business in 2 years? And so then you just go back to based off advisors that are having success. What did they start to add to their business in order to help achieve those goals? And then it's just sprinkling down the knowledge of, hey, in order to go from $1 million to 2 million, if you would like to double your revenue here over the next, let's say 12 to 24 months, here are 4 opportunities for you in 2026. Our team actually put together a white paper that outlined what that was. It's titled 2026 Opportunities. So basically, we put that together. And one of the common things for that specific office that may help the Boston one or maybe the Arizona one, Chicago one, whoever it might be. Out of those 4 opportunities, social media is definitely one, making sure that there's omni channels of marketing that advisors are doing. They're not just focusing on just one specific marketing task. They are all getting online. They're starting to take their brand online and utilize, let's say, LinkedIn for authenticity, letting people get to know them more on LinkedIn. They're starting to utilize Instagram, YouTube. They're really building out YouTube channels for a video library. So, like I said, there's just one of 4 big opportunities. Our team, if you reach out to us, we can send you over what that one pager is. But that's probably something that really stuck out is advisors are able to relate to others, even though they don't really know each other, where they all are. And then there's a reason why they may have been hitting the ceiling of where they're at so far and where they're trying to go is just simple. It's just figuring out, okay, based on where you're at, where you're trying to go, based off of these offices that we work with, who's doing 2 million plus of revenue, 4 million, 10 million, whatever the number is, we can just pick apart, what was the breakthrough that helped you get to this level and this level, and then just give them the resources to help them achieve it. And then they got to execute though. So
Yeah.
that's probably the other thing that goes back into what are advisors doing? Execution. So yes, we can spend all this time on business planning, but the ones that actually put wheels in motion, we have what's called a executive. So we actually do our business planning calls. Then we do a execution guide. The execution guide is what we send to advisors following their business planning. It gives them 30 days, 60 days, and then it's action items for 2026. So the advisors that jumped on our calendar, you can already tell those are the ones that are hungry for growth. They're ready. They make it very important because they want to make sure they're starting off the year right. So first 30 days, the action items could easily be something about introducing a new resource. Maybe they're looking to hire somebody. We introduce them to our person that can help with hiring individuals for advisors. A lot of those advisors this year, they wanted to leverage a service that can help call on behalf of their office to basically reach out to prospects and warm them up, or prospects that were maybe ghosting them. So we have a resource that's helping them with actually setting appointments and talking up the advisor. There's literally like 28 resources. So that's become my job now, is just figuring out, taking the information, listening, and then from there, regurgitating to them on that execution guide of, hey, over the next 30 to 60 days, this is what's going to set you up towards what the goal you're trying to do. So that's probably what I would say stands out the most. And then also there's blind spots for advisors too, going into 2026, that we just want to make sure that we're checking the boxes. So we're moving in the right direction for them. 2026 is going to be an incredible year for financial professionals. And as they look forward to next year and put their goals in place, wouldn't it be nice to have a playbook that helps outline some of the blind spots that are out there for financial professionals in order to make sure that they hit their goals? Well, friends, call me Santa Claus. Our team put together a 2026 AMP playbook for entrepreneurial advisors that outlines the 8 blind spots our team has notified within the offices that we serve to make sure that those offices are able to hit their goals going into the new year. Some of those blind spots or inquiries are around social media mastery, harnessing technology, systems over stress, not to mention from chasing to attracting, and so on and so forth. So if you and your team would like to request our 2026 AMP playbook for entrepreneur advisors, go to www.insuremarkamp.com/Jay Hauser and click on Learn More.
Within those first 60 days or so, is there a time when the advisors seem to come up against a wall when you have to help them through?
Well, I'll tell you something honestly on this. I try not to make it too complicated for the first 60 days. But yes, they could time crunch, because everybody at the end of the day, we all have 24 hours in the day. I say that on probably every 7th podcast. But it comes back to, yes, you just got to make it a priority. So if your priority based off your goals of what you're setting next year are important enough, and also it's worth getting calendared, that's a huge thing. So if you're willing to take time out of your day, calendar these business planning calls, calendar the execution guide, we find that the ones that are doing those just two simple steps and jumping on the calendar, and then from there, those are the ones that will basically, I would say 99% of the time, those are the ones that will knock out their 30-day and 60-day action items.
Okay.
If our team has to constantly drip on them and say, hey, we need to get to this, we need to get to this, then you could see those offices possibly in the first 30, 60 days. You can see those being the ones that may not necessarily have such a hot start to the year itself. But at least what our team has learned is we just don't want to chase, because at the end of the day, if it's not a priority for them, it can't be a priority for us yet, because when it's all said and done, it's their actions that they're going to have to take. So we want to make sure that we're courteous of their time, and just let them know that we're here once they're ready. So 60-day clock does start though. So every day you delay, it does kind of make it a little more rush. But yeah, no, I see it. But for the most part, and all of our guys are pretty spot on. So we're pretty clean getting those calls set up and knocking out what's needed in order to set up the upcoming year itself.
Well, you mentioned blind spots. Tell me more about some blind spots you see.
Yeah, so blind spots, I want to say from the 14 advisors that are constantly doing our advisor mentorship program mastermind calls, some of the things that our office has seen throughout the last, I'd say 2 years, if not 3 years, there were 8. So there's 8 blind spots that are out there going into 2026 that we want to make sure for the most productive advisors that we work with. There's certain things that they're doing that we see smaller offices or new offices that come into us. It's almost like just a checkup. It's a checkbox. Are you taking care of this? One of the tools that we talked about within the actual playbook itself. So it's about 24 pages. So it's beautifully done by our team. So it's 24 pages, titled 2026 AMP Playbook for Entrepreneur Advisors. And just one out of the 8, I would say, was the harnessing technology. So having the right systems in place that are actually on the tech side that are talking to one another. So especially the incorporation of AI nowadays. So our team, as we're running our business, there's just being more efficient with your teammates. Is it a call where you have somebody where you're doing let's say an internal conference call with your team and somebody's out? Well, make sure you're recording that. Make sure you have that AI tool that's on that. And that particular one, now we don't have to take the, let's say, rainmaker of the office, the CEO, the advisor, to where that individual missed the day and then we're having to catch them up. They got a copy of the call. They also got a transcript right there. They can listen to it a lot faster, to where you can, instead of listening to it at 1 speed, it can be at 1.25, 1.5. So just harnessing technology to just be more efficient in your business. CRM systems, putting information in, getting data off of prospects and clients, but actually using the data in order to start creating marketing ideas and one pagers and things that your office can start building out your brand for credibility. So many things. So we talk about that in our actual playbook itself. 8 different blind spots. That's just one specific one. We talk about social media. We talk about attracting clients instead of chasing them. So if they want that playbook, they can just go to our website and then request it. We can send over to them. And we just want to make sure we're not just checking off the boxes, but we're covering our 6 for an advisor going into next year as we plan for goals. We got to make sure that as we're taking the boat out to the water, there's no leaks. So we want to make sure there's no holes. And that's where our team is just making sure that the advisors at least have a primer going out to the next year.
Talk to me about the mastermind groups. You've mentioned them a lot.
So I would say the mastermind groups are I would say essential. So we've now been doing our monthly AMP mastermind calls, man, since 2017, 18. So we're coming up now on, I think almost, 9 years, 10 years is going to be coming up here soon. And I would say that was probably, and that's one of the blind spots too, is just being around a group of people that are like-minded and having the opportunity to really just not only grow grow each year, but also just are good people. So just genuinely people you enjoy being around. We do a lot of traveling in our industry itself too. It's especially when you deal with a lot of high performers. There's a lot of trips that these advisors go on. There's a lot of mastermind in-person calls or in-person meetings that we do or trainings. So you get to know these people a lot. And so the mastermind calls just continue to be not just a way for advisors to get more information of just knowing what's out there to make sure that their business is going to be not left behind as technology and other things continue to evolve, but they're just building good relationships with high performers. And so the mastermind is very essential. We do these once a month. I put together an agenda for the advisors. We have some talking points we go through. We share some best practices over XYZ. There's always about 15 to 20 minutes carved out for a trending or timely topic during those mastermind calls. It's also a way to reflect. We share with them what recently happened here within our company to make sure they didn't miss out on a past webinar. We have upcoming trips. So we just give them the basis to where these guys are going 1,000 miles per hour every single day. So at least by having that consistency of one call on a monthly basis, it's just more efficient for everybody just to make sure they're not missing out on anything. They're getting their touch points. And then most importantly, it's that community to where advisors can talk to other advisors, even outside of those calls. And I know that's where our team, I'm very blessed. My guys literally are open books, sharing ideas with one another, helping them out with hiring people, delegation. I'm struggling here in my business with this. What did you do to help with that? And they are just open book, helping them out. So mastermind groups couldn't be, I would be the biggest endorser of those because I've seen what it's done to those advisors' businesses, our business in general, by just them being able to share for an hour what's going on with them. And it also gives structure. So it gives structure to a group of individuals that are like-minded, that sometimes just like that. They like things being put on their calendar. So we've had the same call, same time frame every single year, every single month for the last coming up on a decade. And yeah, I would highly urge, if you're not a part of a mastermind, you definitely need to consider that because that is how you'll double your business faster than probably anything that you're doing in your business today. Help your clients renovate, reinforce, and take pride in their financial home. North American has some exciting news. They've just launched a powerful new resource designed to help make client conversations easier, more engaging, and more impactful. Discover the blueprint for organizing, protecting, and upgrading your financial life so you can build a lasting legacy and approach retirement with confidence. It's called the North American Financial Home Makeover Campaign. It includes a magazine, a microsite, and an online client prospect assessment. Pretty cool. These resources will help you spot retirement gaps and opportunities, build more long lasting trust, and start retirement conversations that really matter with prospects and clients. To access this amazing resource, reach out to our team or go to www.insuremarkamp.com/Jay Hauser and click on Learn More. Advisors, ignite your practice with Prosperity Life Group's Path Pro series. Launching right after Labor Day, Path Pro and Path Pro Max pack a punch. 3 custom index options, the S&P 500, and a fixed bucket, all with zero market risk, zero explicit fees, and a massive premium bonus on the Path Pro Max. Lock in guarantee rates with the custom indices for 5, 7, or 10 years with issue ages up to age 85. Prosperity Life with 25 billion in AUM, A- ratings from AM Best and S&P, and 100% renewal rate integrity since 2018 has your back. Supercharge your clients' growth at prosperitylife.com.
So, what are some of the topics that you actually discuss in your mastermind calls?
Yeah, so we actually, I referenced it earlier. So the 4 opportunities, that was in December's mastermind call. Always a sad one because it's our last one of the year and we're cruising with the same group going into January. So that's one where we're showing the goals of everybody. And one of the things that we talked about was, once again, the 4 opportunities for 2026. I talked about optimizing social media. So making sure that you're doing omnichannels and utilizing different ways to get your brand out there to attract other prospects and so forth. The other three would be team expansion, operations, delegation, and then last but not least would be optimizing offerings and client segmentation. So those are the main four that we talked about. It was a great conversation. Once again, we do have a one pager that we provided those advisors. So if you want that, just go to the insuremarkamp.com/Jay Hauser website, click on learn more, and we can send you over those 2026 opportunities. But I couldn't express more about that social media component. So Patrice, do you know how many people are actively on a monthly basis are on Instagram?
No clue.
So this is a couple things we put together. We've even put forth some social media guides for advisors to help them out with how to post on social media. There's a one pager on best practice to do that. But Instagram, it's crazy. There's 2 billion people on a monthly basis that are on Instagram. There's also on Facebook, there's 3 billion users that are actively on Facebook on a monthly basis, and 300 and I believe 10 million individuals that are on LinkedIn on a monthly basis.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And that's three completely different, is it the same person going to each three? I don't know. But based off of the tracking and data, that's what the numbers are. And so what's interesting is even like YouTube. So YouTube, that's a whole other component. And we talked about this in our mastermind call. So YouTube, on average, a YouTube user is there 28 hours on a monthly basis. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
28 hours on YouTube. So that's, I would say, almost an hour a day. They're on YouTube.
Basically, yeah. And that includes weekends.
And that includes weekends, yeah. And so Facebook, actually, it's 18 hours, and then Instagram is 16 hours. But you know what the biggest opportunity, though, is for advisors, and this is what we talked about. So out of that, let's say 2 billion people that are on Instagram on a monthly basis, it's 25%. So 25% of those individuals out of the 2 billion, quick math, was that 500 million? So 500 million people on a monthly basis are constantly putting their brand out there. They're actively posting to try to get engagement on Instagram itself. They're not just getting on there and just, going to the next page. They're actively trying to put themselves out there to let people know about them, maybe their brand as well too. So that's what's Instagram. With Facebook, 20%. So out of all the 3 billion, 20% of those individuals on Facebook, they're doing the same thing. So that's, call it 600 million people that are actually actively marketing themselves on Facebook to let people know what they do, to get brand awareness and so forth. Here's the opportunity. So LinkedIn, out of 300 and I think 10 million people on a monthly basis, guess what that number is that are actively marketing themselves or putting themselves out there on LinkedIn to attract new prospects? Out of 310, give me a percentage.
I would guess 80%.
So Facebook is roughly 20%. Instagram is 25%. Well, I take this back. You actually probably connected with a lot of advisors. So that's probably why you feel that way. But
that could be.
For the most part. So LinkedIn, interesting enough, it's only 1%.
1%?
1% on LinkedIn are actively marketing their brand, marketing who they are.
Yes. No, I don't agree with that at all. Not what I see and not what I hear.
Hey, don't get mad at me. Get mad at SQ Magazine. I don't know.
Wow. Where are they going? I don't know.
But here's the thing, because there's so many people out of 310. So here's the thing, 310 million people that are on LinkedIn on a monthly basis. How many people do you know in your circle when you go outside of just maybe doing your day-to-day with advisors, doing these podcasts? How many of those people have a LinkedIn but don't post anything?
Or they just respond. Yeah, they don't really post, but they will respond to somebody's post.
They don't post anything. They respond. They give you a nice little, I'm here, and then they're gone. Yeah. So that becomes the opportunity, especially for advisors, as just constantly putting themselves out there on these different actual social media apps. And then most importantly, it's just getting brand recognition. It goes back to some of the things we've talked about in the past, the whole 7, 11, 4. change activation model. So being notified your brand on 4 different forums. People want to see 7 hours of content of your brand in order to build enough trust, credibility. And then it's the touch points, 11 touch points in the sales process to get people comfortable enough to buy from you. And so that's what we talked about. One of the examples in our recent mastermind call, like I said, we have a one pager. We have two one pagers then. 2026 opportunities for upcoming year. Those 4 different things that advisors are looking to build on to grow. And then the other one is our social media guide. So if you're looking to take your business more social media and you're just looking for ways that advisors are posting, what time frames, what day, which app are they using, and then also what type of content they're using, our team has a one pager for that too.
Unlock new accumulation opportunities with EclipseMark fixed index annuities issued by Standard Insurance Company and available exclusively through Legacy Marketing Group. Offer up to 15% annual penalty-free withdrawals after year 1, plus many rates that are guaranteed not to drop for up to 10 years, a key advantage in today's uncertain rate environment. And for you, earn competitive upfront or trailing commissions. Learn more. Visit www.legacynet.com. EclipseMark is a product of Standard Insurance Company of Portland, Oregon. Licensed in all states except New York. Features and availability may vary by state. This message is for licensed insurance producers only, not for consumers. Legacy Marketing Group is an independent agency not affiliated with Standard Insurance Company.
Tell me a little bit more about the team and how they use these resources to help.
Yeah, so here's the best part. So I identified a blind spot in our business going into 2025. And so we rolled out what's called AMP Assist. So AMP Assist was a program that we put in place to help advisors operate more efficiently. So people that they hired, they delegate their tasks to maybe their COO of the office that runs operations, maybe their marketing person who helps out with putting together processes for marketing. Those individuals are on our monthly call. So I do a mastermind with their office. So I'm basically within the AMP Assist program, I'm training them up on different AI tools that are coming out to the marketplace, how to use the AI tools to be more efficient in their business. With the one pagers that we've put together here over the course of the year, we go through and identify how advisors are utilizing these best practices most efficiently to get some engagement. We talk about the importance of that, but also the first step each one of those advisors do is they just follow me. So or not necessarily the advisor, but the assistants, even if they're brand new into the business. So they just connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Instagram. And so the format of just putting things on there, I share with them as the podcast airs, I share with them, just timely conversations about the business. Those individuals reach out to me. They say, hey, how did you post it like this? How did you do this? What are some ideas around, how do I become more efficient
Okay.
when it comes to running our podcast to get more awareness out there? And so that's what AMP Assist has become, a way for advisors, staff members, because the advisor, they don't even want to, they're like, Jeremy, I don't know how to do any of this. And that's why they delegated and they hired somebody to do it. So when it comes to hiring the right person, which is great, now instead of them having to maybe pay $10,000, $15,000, go somewhere else to try to learn the processes and then implement it. That's why our team is doing AMP Assist to help out with training those individuals to run more efficiently, especially I think at the beginning of the year, there was an AI tool every single one of our calls, but it's not just here's the tool. It's how do you use it to create a one pager? How do you create playbooks? How do you now chop up your video content so you can now have actual snippets that you can post all across the board, and so on and so forth. So that's what really took off this year, and I would say then fast forward to October. So what we started to do within this group is what's called AMP Premium. So now our office is actually doing the social media. So meaning advisors send us over their hard copy or their raw videos itself by them sending over their video of maybe a 2-minute, 4-minute clip of whatever the topic is for the conversation. Like November was asset-based long-term care awareness month. We're doing like December right now. It's just anything around Christmas, business planning topics that we want to talk about, making sure you're paying your RMDs or get your RMDs all squared away before the 15th. So whatever the topic was, our team provides them 8 topics of scripts that they can use. They send over those videos to us, and our team actually makes edits and creates social media content for the advisors. And so that's no charge for them. So we've realized that, if we really want to go with this route of helping advisors bring their practice into the digital market, we're going to start bringing it in-house and helping those advisors, instead of them leaving it up to chance for them to create it. We're just going to do it for them. So AMP Assist and AMP Premium here in 2025, it was very successful, and it's just going to continue to grow because that's where the market's going, with basically 88% of the people, I would say the kids, the heirs of their clients. So let's say an advisor basically has their client, 88% of the heirs that will inherit that money from their current client, 88% of them go to another advisor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the numbers show. So with 84 trillion over the next 20 years, that's going to be passed generational wealth to the next generation. It's crazy to see the stats. Millennials, they are getting financial advice 56% of the time from social media. Gen Z, so Gen Z is 72% getting it from social media. So it doesn't matter who your parents' financial advisor was, they're going online. So advisors have to build that parallel in their business just to make sure that their brand is recognizable out there. And so that's what our team saw as a huge blind spot for advisors we work with. So that's pretty huge opportunity, I would say, for the ones we work with.
Well, let's talk about Jeremy for a minute here. You've had this running goal, 1,000 miles for the year.
Yeah.
What are some of the habits that you put in place? You've mentioned them before, but I'm not sure you've done it all in one place, one podcast. What are the habits that you put in place to achieve that goal? That is quite a goal.
Well, I had accountability partners like Patrice, who I knew I would have to talk to on air. So therefore I had to maintain a goal. I think if I look back in December, going into January, October of 2024 was the first month, I think, or maybe even August was the first month I did 100 miles. I put out a goal there to run 100 miles.
I think it was August because it was the weather was so hot, but you still did it.
It was hot. We just moved homes. We just had our third child all in the same 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
My wife wanted to absolutely murder me. But yes, so it was a tough time during that time frame. And I realized, I can run 100 miles with all this chaos that's out there, but mainly I wasn't sleeping. So fast forward to going into 2025, I was like, all right, I'm going to run 1,000 miles. Let's see if we can do this. Happily, I actually achieved that goal in October. So was able to accomplish it. And one of I would say the main things that started really helping me was I created, going back to habit stacking, I started listening to, instead of music, so just listening to music when I ran. I used to do that up until this year. I started adapting and listening to podcasts, but also Audible books. So I've never been a huge reader growing up. Listening to Audible books. The first book I read, or I listened to on Audible, was actually Atomic Habits. That was the second time I've ever actually listened all the way through, back in December of last year. And so January kicked off my 1,000-mile run, and I started with a book called Can't Hurt Me by Dave Goggins. I don't know if you ever heard of that one or listened to it.
No, not that one.
Okay, pretty raunchy, but it's a great book for someone who's looking to run and walk. So I started to listen to an Audible book, and all of a sudden I became almost addicted to where I wasn't going to listen to the book unless I was running. So my habit became, I wanted to listen to like the next part of this book itself, but unless I'm out there running the streets, I wouldn't be able to get to it. So then that kicked off into the next month. So I finished that book. Next month, I went to a new book. Then I went to this book. Then I went to this book. And so all of a sudden, it became a habit to where I just wanted to enjoy listening to these books, get all these ideas going at the very beginning of the day to start the day off with just at least one idea. And then moving forward, here we are in October. We just crossed over the 1,000 miles. Going into November, I think this month or last month, November, I think I ran just under 100 miles. December, I'm going to run well over 100 miles, but I'm now it's a habit. It's created something to where I still don't listen to books unless I'm working out or running itself. And I want to say that goes back to pretty much what we've talked about this episode, is just putting a goal out there. And then you may not know how to get there, But then you start to put things in place of habits and you start stacking those together. And all of a sudden that visualization of running 1,000 miles has created more of an opportunity to where now I'm being fulfilled by listening to good mindset books, providing value to my advisors as well too. I actually have 5 books. So in my mastermind calls with those advisors, doing business planning for 2026. So on the email that I send over to them with their execution guide, I have 5 must reads for 2026 if they are wanting to actually grow. And yeah, so what? And actually, before I get to that, and I'll share that information, Patrice, if you had a book for somebody, I sound like a book club now. If you had a book for somebody for 2026, what book would you recommend?
Actually, I do have a book in mind. It was recommended to me by a colleague who first discovered the book on a podcast, and it's Unreasonable Hospitality. It's by Will, and I think it's Guidara,
Hmm.
Guidara, and it's the hospitality industry in New York. It's a restaurant, and what he did to bring his restaurant up to Michelin star status with the staff and
Uh,
how he treated people. It You treat them well, you give them more than they expect, and they will remember and they will come back.
that is so good. Actually, I think I said before, I don't think I have actually heard of this one. Interesting. And there's a book that actually that reminds me of. One of my advisors gave it to me. It's called Shut Up and Listen.
Okay.
And so for that particular book itself, one of the main things he talks about in it is basically he's all about hospitality. So
Hmm.
he has restaurants, he has casinos, he has all these things. But the one thing that he talks about is how his staff member, this person walks in at 10 a.m. and they no longer serve breakfast, but the customer comes in and says, "Hey, I would like scrambled eggs," and then basically that person goes back to the kitchen and is like, "Hey, what are we doing here? Because I don't think we offer that." And so the person came back and was like, "Hey, we don't offer breakfast. Sorry." And so the guy, I believe Tillman, happened to be there, and he absolutely blew his lid because he goes,
Wow.
"Hold on."
Hmm.
Went over there and said, "You want scrambled eggs? Absolutely. We'll go take care of this for you." So then he went to the back, made sure that they made the scrambled eggs, says, "Hey, make sure you just upcharge them 25%. Like there's always going to be a way. You got to make sure you give them the experience that they want customers right and this, that, the other." So if it's anything like that in that book,
Oh, there's
I want
some
to know all
great,
about it.
great examples. I highly recommend it.
It's on my list now. So for the 5 books for my advisors, and actually I put them in order too. So I did a lot of listening as I was doing the running this year. There's some books last year that are also included on this as well too. But number one, because I deal with a lot of the advisors that are looking for just hyper growth. I mean, they are so laser focused trying to grow their business, possibly pick up some new staff members. I mean, they're focused on doing big things over the next 2 to 3 years. So the first book is The Science of Scaling by Dr. Ben Hardy. Incredible book. Ben has actually written also, he was co-author with Dan Sullivan of 10X is Easier Than 2X. So I highly, highly recommend. That's the first one to actually listen to or read is The Science of Scaling by Ben Hardy. The second one is one I actually just finished roughly 2 months ago. It's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, all about habit stacking. Incredible book. It gets down to the granular of what you're doing on a daily basis. The importance of vision. If you're looking for things that'll help you out with your day to day, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson is incredible. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I actually just finished that book 2 days ago. Incredible. So Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, similar to The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge references Think and Grow Rich a lot, so I had to listen to it. Incredible book itself. And then fourth is now more business oriented. So this one is called Traction. Get a grip on your business. So advisors that are looking to really build, grow, and scale their business in 2026. Once you get the habits put together, this is how running your team, the importance of 90-day meetings, different things that are put to place, really just best practices from an entrepreneur. This is titled Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business. Well worth you checking out on that one. And then last but not least is the book I'm reading again for the third time. I do it every December. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear, because the reason I continue to read that on a yearly basis is the fact that you are different every single year once you're listening or reading a book. So therefore, even though you may have read it already, it just seems to hit you different, or something that didn't make sense a year ago. Your life's a little different, and then all of a sudden different things are starting to help you out. So those are my five: The Science of Scaling, The Slight Edge, Think and Grow Rich, Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business, and then Atomic Habits. And those are our top five for 2026.
Atomic Habits, that's on my bookshelf over there. The others, though, I'll have to go look into. Haven't heard of those ones before.
I think you'll like The Slight Edge. I mean, I kind of bias. Anybody, even if they're not a financial advisor, I'm a little biased. The Slight Edge is such a well put together book.
Okay.
But he talks a lot about Think and Grow Rich, so it's kind of a twosome.
Well, we covered a lot of ground here, but is there something we didn't touch on you want to make sure you do?
I just can't express enough. 2026 goals, it's not real unless it's written down. So make sure you're, hopefully, as you're going into the new year, you have the right goals, the right team in place to get you to where you're looking to go. There's so much opportunity going into next year. I know the industry itself, fixed index annuities back in 2024, was incredible. Huge growth, over 30% growth. This year looks like we're going backwards a little bit as an industry, but good news is, looks like our team, we're actually looking as if we're going to be up in the positive when it comes to growth. So as the industry went backwards, our team actually grew. So we're very excited. Hopefully, like I said, in 2026, you have some business planning goals that you've already put out there. But if not, feel free to reach out to our team. We can help you out with any of the resources we've referenced here. And stay tuned to the show. We got a lot of good, incredible guests you won't want to miss starting off 2026.
All right. So one of your goals, listener, is to make sure you follow, you like, and you share this podcast with Jeremy Hauser. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.